received or accrued. Yes, received or accrued. So whether you've actually been paid by your customers or not, you still need to account for affordable housing levy on that income, because that income is now accrued. But if you've been received, you've also been paid, that is fine. But even if you've offered a service, you've invoiced, yet you've not received the payment, you still need to account for affordable housing levy on that gross income, as long as you are not an employer in that sense. And of course, now the failure to pay affordable housing levy by the 9th working day after the end of the month in which the gross salary was due or the gross income was received or accrued, you will now be liable to a penalty of 3% on the unpaid amount after the debt, 3% per month. So that is the penalty for affordable housing levy. Now I'll be coming back later to show you how this has been implemented in Itax, but it's just good to set the pace and know that these are some of the changes which we might have wanted to bring about. Something else before Tanya from Nita comes in is the Affordable Housing Act also amended the turnover tax rate from 3% to 1.5%. Also again effective from March 2024. Itax is already well updated with that. The return now calculates the TOT at the rate of 1.5%, and of course also levy deducted by the employer. You'll get 50% on that, and it will be allowed against your Paye tax payable in the Paye return. Currently, the Paye return has not been implemented with that, and also I'll be guiding you on the future changes we are making to the Paye return to just account for the affordable housing relief. Something else we also wanted to bring to your attention may not be relating to the Affordable Housing Act, but it's a recent update on the Paye return. There's something to do with post-retirement medical fund relief, and also this one came in from the Finance Act 2023. It was effective from January 2024, where if you are working for an employer and you are contributing premiums towards your post-retirement medical fund, where once you retire, you will still be liable to access medical services from this medical service provider. You can now make those contributions currently when you're working, so that it becomes easier for you when you retire, and maybe now your body is catching up with different ailments and effects of old age. When you do that, again, you'll be liable to a post-retirement medical fund relief at the rate of 15% of your premiums, up to a maximum of 5,000 per month or 60,000 per annum. So those are just some of the recent updates we needed to bring to your attention on the aspect of affordable housing levy, affordable housing relief at the rate of 15% of the levy which has been deducted from you, which will be allowed against your payee, and also the post-retirement medical fund relief, which came with the Finance Act 2023. And of course, another update, which I know Tanya may also mention, is that the Statute Laws Amendment Act of 2024 aligned the due date for Nita from 5th of the month to 9th of the month. And now that kind of also now makes it easier for employers to comply with Nita, with Paye, with the Affordable Housing Act levy, and with NHIF, with NSSF, because now all the payroll-related deductions and contributions have now been moved to 9th of the month. So with those few remarks, we just set the pace for some of the discussions now we'll be covering on the Itax side after the Nita contribution, which is coming next. It was just good to put in perspective what are the new changes, what we expect from you, and now I'll be coming later to show you how to comply in Itax by the different people, whether you're an employer with a pay obligation, you're an employer with no pay obligation, whether you are just someone receiving gross income from business, rental, farming, consultancy, or any other source of income. How do you account for affordable housing levy through the Itax platform so that you are in compliance with the Affordable Housing Act? With those few remarks, I want to bring in Tanya to take us through on the presentation on Nita. Then I'll be coming later to take you through the Itax presentation, both for affordable housing levy, Paye, and Nita. And I think now we can go to a joint Q&A. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. David Busale. I'll just request perhaps when you're now not on presenting, maybe just to recheck the audio connection and the network. We seem to have lost you at various points. but largely we were able to follow the presentation. I'll repeat again, we had challenges with our KRA TV audio, but now it's confirmed to be back on. So in case you're having a challenge here, you can visit KRA TV YouTube channel, and this is live there. Madam Tanya Akoth, good morning to you. Perhaps you can just test your audio and you can start projecting your presentation. And
good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Let me just share.
In the meantime, indeed, thank you for posting your comments, questions, and concerns. Again, I'll ask that you post your comments, questions, concerns in the chat to all panelists so that we can all have visibility over your questions today and even be receiving responses in the chat as we go along the presentation. So kindly direct your comments to all panelists in the chat. We have a team and a member who will be able to respond during the presentations. Over to you, Madam Tanya. Maybe I can just request you to put your presentation in full mode, and then we can begin.
Actually, how?
All right. There seems to be on our end. We are still stuck on one of the slides. Maybe I can request you to stop and then reshare from the first slide. Thank you. And perhaps just within another 20 minutes plus or minus 5, you can take us through the presentation. Then we can go into Itax and then have a joint Q&A, if that's okay. Indeed, we do have a number of questions coming in about the affordable housing relief itself and how it will be captured in the pay-as-you-earn return. That presentation is coming up just after this, so please be a bit patient with us and then we'll be able to tackle those issues. Thank you. But we can see questions, comments, and concerns, and we appreciate the engagement. Madam Tanya, I can confirm the slide is now on the first, but it's not on full mode. If you're able to put it on full mode, that would be best. But if not, then in the interest of time, we can also proceed.
I think we proceed. So my name is Tanya Akoth from Nita, Levy Department. I'll take you through the bit on industrial training levy. First of all, this is the presentation overview. The intention of this is to sensitize the people who are present on Industrial Training Act up to 37, give a brief about Nita, its mandate, function, an overview of the industrial training schemes, the economic sectors as per STC, industrial training levy, the purpose and the benefits. So first of all, Nita is a state corporation established by the Industrial Training Act Amendment 2011. I hope I'm still audible.
Yes, Tanya, you are.
Madam,
Maybe could you make it presentation mode if you can?
I'm trying to. I think
it's okay. Just proceed. It's okay.
Yeah.
Just proceed. That's fine. Okay.
We have our main head office at Nairobi, along Commercial Street, just opposite KEMSA industrial area, which has 2 training centers, that is Nita Nairobi and NTTI. Other 3 centers spread across the country, that is in Kisumu, Mombasa, Athi River. We also have 6 satellite levy offices in Eldoret, Kakamega, Nakuru, Thika, Embu, and Nyeri. Industrial training centers mainly operate in skill upgrading, in specific courses like tailoring, tailor-made courses, and national skills certificates as per Kenya National Qualification Framework. We also have a trainees capacity of 5,000, which are accredited trainers. We also offer trade tests and assessments in different centers, as earlier mentioned. So on to the Nita powers functions. Nita is mandated to ensure adequate and proper training manpower in all levels in the industry. Section 3A of the Industrial Training Act, it gives us the mandate to industrial training regulation and provision, levy administration, integrating labor market information into skill development, training levy administration, assessing industrial training and testing occupation skills, awarding certificates, coordinating industrial attachment, accrediting institutions engaged in industrial training, developing, harmonizing, and accrediting curricula and assessment guidelines in industrial training. Part of when we do registration of employers, we categorize them in different sectors, mainly those who deal in agriculture, livestock. Hello.
Madam
I hope I'm
Tanya,
still
we had lost
sharing.
you for a second, but now we can hear you again. We can see the presentation, though maybe I can request if it's possible to zoom in. We're unable, just because I know it's streaming also on another platform. If you can just zoom in a little and then proceed, but we can hear you.
That's okay.
Yeah, much better, Tanya.
Okay. So when we do employer registration, we categorize them in different sectors, mainly those who deal in agriculture, livestock, forestry, fishing, and allied agencies are categorized in one sector. Those in mining, oil, quarrying, and allied agencies in one sector, manufacturing, energy, electricity, gas, water in one sector, infrastructure, building, construction in one sector, commercial, distributive, and wholesale and retail in one sector, those who deal in transport, storage, communication in one sector, finance, insurance, real estate, and banking in one sector, then government ministries, counties, parastatals, educational institutions, commissions, NGO, FBOs and CBOs, hospitals, and allied agencies are categorized in one sector. So maybe some employers may note that when they are issued with a registration number, it reads as Nita, Levy, maybe MAA, that is manufacture. So that's how we do our registration when it comes to issuance of the levy number. On the training scheme, we have apprenticeship, that is true. We do dual training, mostly within the plant, the organization, and some within our centers, as earlier mentioned. We have indentured learnerships, whole trainings done at the employer's premises. We have industrial attachment, which take around 2 to 3 months, depending on the particular attachment. We also offer skill upgrading. This is solely to improve the performance of the employees. They can be done in-house, open house, or other statutory trainings like fire and safety. So this is basically mostly what the skill upgrading, that is mostly what the levy, the employers contribute, deals in. Then we offer trade tests in different grades. We also give recognition of prior learning. Now on industrial training levy, the Industrial Training Amendment Act of April 2022 mandated KRA to assess and collect industrial training levies, including penalties and recoveries. However, the Principal Act still gives Nita the mandate to administer the training levy fund. The levy order of 14th June 2007 is still valid unless other amendments are done to it. Now, the provision of the Act necessitates all employers to register and contribute a fee of 50 shillings per employee on a monthly basis. That training levy should not be deducted from the salary of the employees. The training levy contribution is statutory. It's mandatory. It's a compliance issue. Therefore, all employers should register, contribute, and not only end at contribution, but also go ahead and train their employees, benefit from the training levy fund. Now, the employee, as defined within the Act, is a person employed for wages or salaries. It includes an apprenticeship, indentured learner, temporary, seasonal, and casual worker. And an employer is a person or a public body, firm, corporation, or a company who has entered into a contract of service to employ any person. It includes an agent, a foreman, or a manager. Those are just the definitions as per the Industrial Training Act. Now, as per the provisions of the Act, continued from the first page, you're supposed to register by filling the registration form, which is also available on our website. You attach your KRA PIN certificate and company registration or incorporation certificates. Once you're registered and have been issued with a levy number, you're supposed to file your levy payment on Itax under the UPR. The date for filing was harmonized, as earlier mentioned by Busaule, to 9th of every subsequent month when the levy becomes due. All employers are expected to pay their contribution after filing on Itax. The Unified Payroll Return, which was piloted and implemented in 2020, and I think in 2023, last year, it was now auto-populating based on number of employees filed on Paye. So you're supposed to ensure that you register with Nita, because once you file in the KRA platform, if you don't have a Nita number, we don't have an account to allocate your payment to, and you can also not benefit from the reimbursement from the training. Yeah, so once you file, ensure that you also register with Nita, because we'll be able to maintain your records for purposes of levy and registration. You'll also be able to access and benefit from the contribution. Now, the purpose of the levy fund is so that you can benefit from reimbursement. Our reimbursements are at 200% of your previous year's contribution. So let's say an organization contributes 500,000 within the previous year. They can claim up to 1 million. We also give attachment grants at a ratio of 1.5. So if an organization has maybe 20 employees, they can take in 4 attaches, and they can benefit from a grant of 9,000 per attachee for the duration of their attachment. It's also a compliance, so you'll be complying with the laws of the land, registered as a levy contributor. So for approvals, when an organization wants to take their employees or employee for training, they are supposed to fill the skill upgrading form, which is also available on our website. At least 7 working days to the intended training date and 14 days for overseas trainings. The details that you're supposed to fill include the training date, the venue, the employee you're taking for the training and their IDs, the category of the training, the trainer you use to conduct the training should be Nita accredited. We also have a list of accredited trainers on our website and the courses they offer. Their contacts are also there. And you should also ensure that your payments are up to date so that you don't train and when it comes to seeking for reimbursement, the claim does not go through because your levy is not up to date. After successful training, you're supposed to fill a claim form and attach the relevant documents. There's a checklist on what needs to be attached to the reimbursement claim. The first one should actually be the approval letter from Nita giving you a go-ahead to train. You should also attach official receipts issued by the trainer, attendance list, ticket, that is bus fare or economy if you flew by air. Do a cover letter with a claim form, in triplicate, submit to Nita within the dates. When whole document is okay, the reimbursement claim process will begin. We do our reimbursement within every quarter. As indicated here. So for a training that took place in Jan to March of 2024, the submission deadline should actually be by 30th April. For a training that occurred between April and June, which we are currently in this final quarter for the year, your submissions should reach us before 31st July of 2024. For July, September, the same, and October to December. Now, though we offer the 200% of the previous year's contribution as an entitlement, we have cappings. So depending on the nature of training, if it's open house, we can give you 11,000 for a participant, or 55,000 per participant for the whole week. Open house, we issue 13,000 per participant. In-house courses, 5,200 per participants per day. But this information will be given when you make an application for approval. You'll get a letter giving you a go-ahead to train with the information on roughly how much you're supposed to get based on these cappings. Now, for a successful reimbursement claim and payment, these are the particular courses that are catered for: supervisory and technical courses, professional workshops and seminars, statutory trainings. These are fire safety, first aid, HIV, and other wellness courses. Overseas training of more than 2 weeks for skill not available locally. Industrial attachment, apprenticeship, and indentured learnership. So for the skills that are not available locally, you have to affirm to actually give reasons why you're going to have the training outside of the country. And one of those is you have to tell us for sure that the course you're going to undertake is not available locally. Otherwise, the reimbursement claim will also not be processed. Now, there are those that we don't reimburse, which are degree programs, whether fresh or progressing, breakfast meetings, luncheons and dinners, study tours, benchmarking and exchange programs, conference and conventional not leading to CPD points, trade fairs, exhibitions, bridging courses and discuss, overseas courses lasting less than 2 weeks, training conducted by employers' own resource person, those who are not accredited by Nita. Now, these are key contacts. In case you'd want to reach out, there is the email address for the Director General. All correspondence are sent through that. For training and approvals, we have the training at nita.go.ke email address. Matters reimbursement, we have the reimbursement at nita.go.ke. In case the issue is particular to a specific region, we have our Levy regional inspectors contacts here, their email addresses. For Mombasa, Nyeri, Kisumu, Kakamega, Nakuru, Embu. Then we have for Athi River, Thika, and lastly, Nairobi. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Tanya. Much appreciated. We just have 2 quick questions that I can see, Nita related, if that's okay. I hope, Busaule, that's okay. We just tackle the Nita related questions at this time. to ensure that we can respond to those. Madam Tanya, there are two quick questions that I've seen. Again, a few grievances regarding the delays with reimbursements. The members and the taxpayers in the forum have said some of them have followed up for over a year regarding reimbursement. So maybe I can just request you to give some clarification as to whether there are some timelines that Nita reviews such applications for refunds and reimbursements. And if not, are there escalation channels, like a complaint escalation mechanism that Nita can provide to the taxpayers to be able to seek their refund successfully if they are eligible? Then the final question, I think, is an interesting one, because previously it appears that, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Tanya, taxpayers would
Yes.
file annually their Nita contribution. So some taxpayers are saying, as we file annually, are we now required to file and pay monthly? Could you clarify on the changes and how they can be compliant when it comes to their Nita contributions? Thanks.
Okay. On the issue of training, we've actually streamlined our sector. I'm sure some can attest to the fact that they've been able to receive their claim. So currently we are doing the payments on a quarterly basis, working on a first in, first out basis. So in case there are any complaints, any issues, they can be channeled through the manager Levy administration. Dr. Okemwa had shared his email earlier. You can also visit the office. You're always welcome. I do sincerely apologize for the delays, but we are working on them, and that will be sorted. On the issue of payment having changed from annual to monthly, there was an amendment, and with regards to the fact that when you file Paye, the levy payment is also auto-populated on a monthly basis. So payments are expected on a monthly basis by 9th of every following month. For those who had already paid, contributed for the previous financial year, and probably their financial year ends mid this year, maybe by June, they can do a lump sum filing from the last time they paid up to now, but now they'll have to make the filing as arrears. Maybe Busaule can clarify on that.
All right, thanks, Madam Tanya. Busaule, you can come in just in a moment. I think it'll appear in your presentation as well. The last question I can see, Madam Tanya, and once Busaule goes back on, maybe you can also just check your private chat. Sometimes taxpayers will engage an individual panelist, so I might not have visibility over that question. But we have a question from a taxpayer who says, can one get a reimbursement? Can an organization claim Nita reimbursement when they train their attaches? Is that an applicable and an eligible training for Nita reimbursement? And then if you're in a position, Madam Tanya, maybe you can also just touch on whether there are any deadlines when it comes to registration for Nita. Are there any deadlines? If there are any, you can clarify on that.
Okay, if an organization trains their attaches, they ought to have also included their names when they were submitting the form, the skill upgrading form. So if their names appeared, their IDs were provided for, then yes, they can claim for reimbursement. That's also if they pay for those attaches when they are when they are making the contribution for the levy. And on the deadline for registration, there is no deadline. The law is clear. Once you register your organization with the registrar of companies, you're also supposed to register with the Nita. The longer you take to register, unfortunately, you may incur some penalties. So I urge all employers to register as soon as they begin operation.
All right, thank you very much. I think Madam Tanya will still have you on the call. Allow me to now hand over to Mr. David Busole.
Maybe I can add, Madam Linda, just a little bit on what Tanya has spoken about.
Indeed, karibu sana daktari.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam. In addition to what Madam Tanya has clarified, an attaché is simply call him a person who is not necessarily going to stay in any organization longer than 3 months. So ordinarily, when you talk about an attaché, we are talking about a different level. This is even not an employee, because at the end of the 3 months, this attaché is expected to get back to the training institution at where he belongs. Now he or she belongs. So essentially, this attaché can only benefit the organization by getting what we call attachment grants, which are usually given to those employers who are compliant. If that is not the case, as Tanya has put it, that if you included this attaché in the training that probably you are seeking reimbursement for, then we are assuming that attaché is an employee. That's how we can treat that attaché, because for us, we don't have that extension of qualifying who is supposed to get training and who is not supposed to get training, because that is purely the work of an employer. And I believe an employer cannot waste his or its own monies to train a person who is due to leave the organization in only 3 months. That is the whole clarification on that, just an addition to what Madam Tanya said. Thank you. So in
Asante
other words,
sana
should
daktari.
we, Madam Linda, should we realize that's an attaché, then essentially we are saying an attaché is not supposed to be, of course, not to be assumed as an employer, and therefore no reimbursement is supposed to be given to that. But should an employer decide to do that, then at his own peril. Thank you, Madam Linda.
All right, asante sana daktari, and at least you've also clarified that there are other grants that are available when it comes to attaches. Busole, good morning once again. I think you have the floor at this point. It's now 10:15. Maybe in the next 30 minutes or less thereabouts, you can take us through this presentation. Then we close with Q&A. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mandy. I'm sorry about some issues on my network. I think I was using my host's network, and seems like it was. I'm back to my my own personal network. So I think maybe in case a call comes through, maybe I'll just be stopping a bit, deduct, maybe reject the call, then proceed. But I hope no calls will be coming through. But you never know. Some demons can just wake up and calls start coming through. But I think I've come back to this other network. I hope it will be a bit stable and not fluctuate. I think even as I go to the Itax presentation, I think some very quick checkouts from the presentation from, and it's good to emphasize on these issues, because at some point employers get confused. So is it Nita? Is it KRA? I think some few checkouts from Tanya's presentation and Okemo's presentation. Please note the role for collection, assessment, enforcement, and payment of Nita levy was moved to KRA. That is the only role in the Industrial Training Act which moved to KRA. Collection, assessment, enforcement, and basically what as anything around the collection and enforcement of industrial training levy. That function moved to KRA. All the other functions of the relating to the Industrial Training Act, relating to trainings, approval of trainings, reimbursements, all that still remains with Nita, and it is very good to clear that, including registration of an employer as a levy contributor. And we cannot overemphasize that you having to log into Itax and you file a pay return, or even if you're not having a pay obligation, you can still go ahead and pay payments for Nita. Please ensure you still go back and comply with the Industrial Training Act and their respective legal notices that you need to register in the prescribed form with Nita as a levy contributor or as an employer. So please please note the registration is still mandatory, and you have to do it with Nita. there is a form on their website. I think, is it called Form 1 or so? You attach, and Kenya has provided you attach your PIN certificate, your certificate of incorporation, or your ID, or your any other certificate of registration for that business. Please remember to do that registration with Nita so that they can properly account for the money you now pay through KRA. It goes to your account. And now when it comes to aspect of approval of trainings and reimbursement, it becomes a seamless process because also they have their own registration. So it's not synonymous that you logged into Itax, you have a pay obligation, you paid Nita, and you are now registered with Nita. No, you have to register with Nita. The registration is one-off. I could see some comments on that. It's not monthly. It is one-off when you become an employer or when you register the business and you have employees, because Nita is related to payroll. You need to register with them and, of course, start the deduction. And I think, again, some takeouts. Please note the emails Tanya gave, trainings@nita.go.ke if you are following up approvals on trainings, reimbursement@nita.go.ke if you're having issues with reimbursement. I believe, and Daktari has, through our collaborations with Nita, Daktari has already, Nita team has already, they've already been working hard to streamline their approval of trainings and their reimbursement process to make it more efficient. And we can be sure in the course of this year, you'll see a radical change in how that process is. So we encourage all employers, please note Nita is your money. And I think that is what is also coming out. We just don't want to be seen as collecting. Of course, we are very efficient in collecting. We can't take that for granted. But we also want employers, please note the purpose for the Nita Levy Fund is for you to seek trainings and get reimbursements, upgrade the skills of your workforce and things like that. So don't just pay. It is not just a tax which goes to a common pool. No, Nita Levy or the Industrial Training Levy goes to the training fund. Certain beneficiaries are part of that fund. But also, having said that, you qualify. We encourage all employers to seek trainings for the employees so that they can get reimbursement from the fund and they can also benefit from the fund through that aspect. So anyway, let me now go to the Itax presentation. I'm going to handle both the affordable housing levy aspect, the affordable housing relief, and the Nita levy aspect relating to employers. So as an employer, I'm starting with the person who is an employer and has a pay obligation. So if you're an employer who has a pay obligation, how do you account for affordable housing levy? How do you account for Nita levy? Is you log into Itax, you go to returns menu, you go to file return, and you select pay as you earn. So this is what you guys have been doing every month. So I think you come to pay as you earn, you select the obligation, you go next, and you download the return, of course, using the recommended option. Once you've downloaded the return, you'll now come and fill the return. Let me just fill it because we are going to upload it. You fill the PIN of the employer. Type of return is original, entity type, head office, or it can be a branch, depending on, then, of course, the return period. For myself, I'm using a return period of April 2024. So that is the return period. Then you'll come to employees. Allow me, I'll just, I can't expose other people's pins, but I can probably use a pin of which I can't be sued. So we can say maybe that is these are, so if you have a CSV, sorry, a call came in, but Mandy, am I back? Am I audible, Bado?
Now you're back. Thank you.
Okay. So if you have a CSV, you can import it with your 1,000 employees, with your 10,000 employees, with your, yes. So basically, the pay return text allows both small, medium, and large employers to file. We have the Teacher Service Commission who are filing employees in excess of 400,000 pay return with 400,000 employees. We have the very small employers with 1 employee. We have those ones with 50, with 2,000, with 10,000. So the pay return allows you to do that. You can always import the CSV. Allow me to, so we have the primary employee, but of course, please note, And as I'm explaining this, let me explain to both, I'll be explaining to both the affordable housing levy and the Nita levy, because it's the same return. So the affordable housing levy is applicable to both residents and non-residents. So please note that affordable housing levy is applicable to employees who are both resident and non-resident. Nita levy is also applicable to both employees who are resident and non-resident. So that point, there is no distinction to both resident and non-resident. Now let's come to type of employee. Maybe I'm still there, right? Okay.
You're back.
Type of employee. We have primary and secondary. So please note, both affordable housing levy and the industrial training levy are applicable to both primary and secondary employees. So again, let's get it that clear without avoidance of doubt. So both affordable housing levy is applicable to both primary and secondary employees. Both affordable housing levy is applicable to both resident and non-resident employees. So don't discriminate your employees because of that. There was only a ruling relating to certain directors. There was only a ruling relating to directors for affordable housing levy, and it's certain directors. It's not like you're a finance director. No, certain directors who, as per the Employment Act, probably they are not employees. But again, even for that is for affordable housing levy, and I think there was something on the public on that. But please note, both apart from that director who was referred to that judgment, please note all other employees are liable to affordable housing levy. And for Nita levy, there is no separation. Whether you are the board of director, whether you're the finance director, whether you are anyone who is being paid an emolument for Nita, they are all liable to the Nita levy, and also affordable housing levy, except that certain small category of directors, which you can also make reference to that case. But the regulations will be coming out and they will make it very clear on certain exemptions or certain employees or certain types of incomes or emoluments which may not be liable to affordable housing levy. So we go to the salary. Let me just use Mandy, you're my person to tell me if I'm not audible. So please keep me in check so that we don't move without.
All right, that's noted. We are still together. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm just doing a dummy filing for one employee, but you can have many employees. So I don't want any complications. I'm going to use this example again to explain the affordable housing relief. So please be keen on that so that because it's basically the same filing. So I'll just select maybe benefit not given. We're not going into the pay aspects. You've been doing this every month. So for us, we're only focusing on the highlights. Actual contribution, maybe this is the contribution to your pension scheme, including NSSF. Okay, maybe I can say that is the contribution. For those employers who are having a mortgage, which the institution which has advanced the mortgage, it qualifies for that. Then of course we encourage employers to provide this mortgage relief at the rate of a maximum of 25,000 per month of interest. So if you're having employees in the payroll who are paying a mortgage and it's being deducted from the pay slip, please give them the mortgage relief in the pay return so that at the end of the year we avoid these aspects of refunds, because that is one way you can help your employees to avoid waiting for a refund at the end of the month. So maybe this person is paying a mortgage and the interest they are paying is 10,000. So you can allow that. And now this is the change. In the return you can access from your end, column AB is currently home ownership saving plan. So this is one of the changes we are making to the pay return. And God willing, probably this weekend we are going to deploy this new pay return, or if not, maybe immediately after the pay due date. We are going to deploy this new version of the pay return where column AB for home ownership saving plan has been amended to affordable housing relief. So this is how the affordable housing relief is going to appear in your pay return. Not the one you've downloaded on your end now, but these are the changes which you can expect either this weekend or immediately after the pay due date. So basically, the June return, we are going to be able to you're going to be able to have this return. The June return in July for sure. You're going to have this return where has the affordable housing relief under column AB. So please note on that. So the affordable housing relief, how is it calculated? You will capture your employees under sheet M. I'll be coming to that later. So once you've captured your employees under sheet M for affordable housing levy, then you'll pick that the contribution of the employee, you'll multiply it by 15%. So that is the amount you are going to bring it under the affordable housing relief. It is 15% of the affordable housing levy deduction for the employee, not the both employee and employer, for the employee only. 15% up to a maximum of 9,000 per month, or 108,000 in a year. So again, assume maybe David is contributing affordable housing levy of how much? On my gross salary of 100,000, let me say I'm having 1,500. So let me do 1,500 times 0.15. So you realize my affordable housing relief now becomes 225. So that's kind of how it is calculated. The affordable housing relief is 15% of the affordable housing levy deduction of the employee. So my affordable housing levy is 1.5% of my gross salary, which was 100,000. That makes it 1,500. My affordable housing relief now becomes 15% of my affordable housing levy amount. So please don't get it. It's just that you first calculate the affordable housing levy, then the relief is 15% of that amount. And it's the employee's contribution, not both. Because the employer's contribution, it's an allowable expense where the employer is filing the income tax return at the end of the year. So that is my affordable housing relief at the rate of 225 shillings. So that's how you'll capture it. Then you come to the personal relief, that is 2,400. Then the other changes we are going to make to this pay return, please, I'm insisting your current pay return does not have some of the issues I'm showing you, especially under AB and AG. We've also enhanced the post-retirement medical fund relief. It will now form part of column AG with the respective thresholds. So again, in addition to NHIF relief on your NHIF premiums, relief on your other insurance policies, whether it's education, whether it is life, whether it is health. In addition to that, we'll still use the same field for you to claim your post-retirement medical fund relief. Again, in addition to all the other relief. So here you just calculate 15% of the respective premiums, and you come and capture them here. So maybe I can just assume my 15% of the respective premiums I've paid in that month, it comes to 1,000. And of course, now I have my pay tax calculated. I confirm it with my payroll. Hopefully, they should be the same anyway if you're using the same. And maybe now I come and have that. So that is kind of how the different. So please note column AB of your pay return will be updated to affordable housing relief, and also column AG for insurance relief has been enhanced to include post-retirement medical relief. And now that makes the pay return very aligned to the Finance Act 2023 and also the Affordable Housing Act 2024 on those aspects of affordable housing relief and also the post-retirement medical fund relief. And of course, the formulas will calculate in the back end. If you're having persons with disability, you'll capture them under sheet C. I think we'll not focus on that much. Now let me go to sheet M, which is the affordable housing levy. So sheet M on the affordable housing levy, you will now come and capture the ID number of that employee. If it's a foreigner, you might capture the alien ID number or their passport number. where applicable. Please note you only enter numeric values of length less than, but this number is not mandatory. So if you're having issues with capturing this number, maybe when you're uploading the return, you're getting error IDs, it's not mandatory. This field is not mandatory, but you can capture the numbers where applicable. We've said you can capture the ID number, you can capture the alien ID number for the non-Kenyan resident employees, and you can capture the passport number for the expatriates and other non-residents who don't have an alien ID yet they're already in the payroll. So that is then you can capture the name again. You can capture the KRA PIN of the employee. Then you can capture the gross salary. For my example, the gross salary, which is liable to affordable housing levy, is just basically the same as the one in sheet B. We are not saying that gross salary is the same, but it is good to know that there can be a difference between the gross salary as section B or C of the pay return and the gross salary liable to affordable housing levy. Okay, so for me, the example of 100,000 is still there. So this is my 1,500 being deducted from my payslip by my employer. My employer also matches another 1,500 and ends up paying 3,000. And of course, for this sheet, if an employee does not have a PIN yet, you cannot capture them on this sheet because the section for PIN is mandatory. So I'll be showing you when you're generating a payment slip that the system allows you to edit this amount upwards to include all employees whom you might have deducted affordable housing levy and you did not have their PIN numbers in the return. So for sheet M, it is mandatory to have a PIN, and it is very simple to get a PIN. If you have an ID, you should be able to get a PIN. KRA gives a PIN against an alien ID. KRA also gives a PIN against a passport. So if you're having an expatriate or a non-resident employee, don't wait to get an alien ID within 3 to 6 months. You can still apply a PIN using the passport. KRA within 24 to 48 hours of you applying and uploading all the necessary documentation, things like letter of introduction from the employer, things like the PIN of the employer, and the acknowledgement and the copy of the passport and the work permit or the special pass where applicable. When you upload those documents within 24 to 48 hours, KRA approves your application for a PIN for an employee who is non-Kenyan and resident using the passport. So again, we shouldn't really have a lot of issues around people not having PINs because the PIN application process is very simple, straightforward, and you should be able to have that PIN within the shortest time possible. So that is on the affordable housing levy. I can see someone was asking why the sheet for Nita, you realize there is no sheet M1 for Nita. Why? Because the return auto-calculates Nita based on the employees captured in sheet B and C. So please know there is no way you're going to capture the details of the employees for Nita because Nita does not, Nita gives approval for trainings for employees and not necessarily that you must be, as long as you're an employee. So for now, we moved away from you declaring the listing of the employees. What we've done from around May 2023 is the pay return auto-calculates the Nita liability based on the employees declared in sheet B and sheet C. So you realize for me, I only have one employee under sheet B. That's why I'm having 50. But what we've done in the return is we've allowed you to increase this number upwards. So in case maybe you only have 10 employees, let's say you only have one employee who is, let's say, the permanent employee or the employee who only has the PIN number in that month. But maybe you will get 99 casuals or part-time employees in that month. Probably you never manage to get their PIN numbers. Maybe due to the short duration, you get them in the month, and maybe it was a one-off engagement. You'll still be required to pay Nita for them because in that month, you pay them some emolument or some wage or salary, which is liable to Nita contribution. So there were still your employees because Nita levy is applicable to all types of employees, whether secondary, part-time, primary, pensionable, contract, casuals, all of them you need to pay Nita levy on their behalf. So for my example, this month I might have engaged 99 casuals. So how do I capture their Nita levy? I just update my Nita levy contributing members from 1 to 100. So the return does not allow you to move this Nita levy to 0. So the bare minimum Nita levy contributions you can pay for the Nita levy for the employees in sheet B and C, but we allow you to increase the number upwards to take care of all employees with no pins, all type of employees you may not have probably have their PIN number, so you never declare them in sheet B and C, irrespective of the amount of money you are paying them. So again, Nita does not have a minimum threshold like the way Paye has, that the threshold is 24,000 per month. Nita is applicable to all employees. Affordable housing levy is also applicable to all employees, irrespective of the amount of salary, wages, or emoluments you are paying them. So my example, you realize only one employee is declared in sheet B, but for Nita levy contributing members, I can edit it to 100 to take care of all casuals and any other employees to make it 5,000. Rather 100, and of course at the rate of 50 shillings to make it 5,000. Again, if you're having employees who don't have PIN numbers, but you've deducted them Paye, also we have a section for you capturing the Paye tax deducted from employees without PIN, but you should only use this under very extreme circumstances, because we've already made it very easy for you to get a PIN for all your employees. But in case you close the payroll, you are filing the Paye return, and you don't have the PIN of that employee, you can always come and capture the Paye deducted from those employees. Then immediately you get the PIN number for that employee, you might be required to come and amend this return and move this Paye tax deducted from employees without PIN from the last tax due sheet, and you move it to either sheet B or C, where it belongs after the employee has got a PIN number. Because that is the only way the system will be able to post the Paye credit to the employee's ledger, by you declaring them on a line item under sheet B or C. But at the point of paying, in case you don't have an employee's PIN number, you can always capture the Paye deducted from employees without PIN to that effect. So our return is ready to file. You've confirmed Paye is okay. You've confirmed the Nita levy is okay. You've confirmed the affordable housing levy contributions are intact. You've done all your checks. You are now ready to upload the return. So you just click on validate the return. Then of course, validate the return. Once you validated the return, so we go back to Itax where we were, upload the return. Normally the file is automatically saved under your documents. So I think for me, it's that file. Agree to the terms. You can read the terms later, but nothing to worry about. Submit. And anyway, I'm not sure you have another option. You just must agree to it to file the return. Yeah? Then upload the return. So we're uploading a unified payroll return, which has Paye, which has affordable housing levy, and which has Nita levy. And of course, so at the point of filing, the return is joint. At the point of filing, it is a unified payroll return where all these three components of Paye, affordable housing levy, and Nita. Okay, I'm not sure what is. Let me just try again. I'm just using our test environment, so let me just. Nita, Paye, and affordable housing levy. Let me just try again. Or have I captured something which we just see? I'll have wished to upload so that we can go and see how the editing is done, but let me just confirm that I've captured the correct pins. Okay. But in case it persists, we'll just proceed with okay. Seems like so basically you upload the return. Then once you've uploaded your return with the components for Paye, affordable housing levy, and Nita levy, you now come to generate the payment slip. So you come and generate a payment slip. The generation of payment slips, please note, you'll have to generate 3 separate payment slips for now. So you are filing the return jointly, which has both Paye, affordable housing levy, and Nita levy. But for the generation of payment slips, you'll have to generate separately all of them. So you come, let's start with Paye. So you start by generating a payment slip for Paye. So you realize on our Paye return, you file a Paye return with a total of 27,559 as the Paye. You also file a Paye return with 3,000 as the affordable housing levy, for example, and Nita levy of 5,000. So you'll be required to generate a Paye payment slip of 27,559. You'll be required a separate payment slip for affordable housing levy of 3,000 and also another payment slip of Nita levy for 5,000. So basically that is what we are. So you'll come and select a self-assessment for Paye. Of course, I've not uploaded my return, but ideally, if the return had uploaded, we've realized we're getting an error, but it's just an error from our end because of the test environment. But we should be having something like 27,559 as the one we are uploading for April, I think. So it should be the liability should have populated as 27,559. So you'll go ahead and generate a payment slip for Pay As You Earn and generate a payment slip for Pay As You Earn separately. Then you'll also go back and generate another payment slip for. So please do not pay in one payment slip. The payments are separate. One for affordable housing levy, one for Paye, one for Nita, because the principles in the back end are totally different. Paye goes to the government directly under Exchequer revenue. Affordable housing levy goes to the Affordable Housing Board, and also Nita levy goes to the industrial training, the Director General of Nita. So the principles and the recipients in the back end are totally different, and that's why the payments are also separate for now, but we will also explore better ways of just, if we can, achieve a unified payment slip the way we achieved a unified filing. Those are also some of the things we are choosing to proceed with. I think just a minute as we move. Just wanna. So so you go and do the one for Paye. Let's now come and do the one for affordable housing levy. How do you generate a payment slip for affordable housing levy? The affordable housing levy, you come to agency revenue, you select housing levy, and of course, when you select the period, if you have a Paye obligation, you must first file a Paye return with the affordable housing levy details or Nita levy details before you come to generate a payment slip for the two. So please note, if you have a Paye obligation, it is mandatory to first file the Paye return before coming to pay affordable housing levy and the Nita levy. Of course, when you select the period, in case you'd already uploaded the return, the system will pre-populate the liability details for that period from the Paye return you've just filed, and it will now allow you to generate a payment slip accordingly as for that aspect of the for the issue of the affordable housing levy. In case it's Nita levy, again you select agency revenue. The subhead, you select Nita levy. When you select the period, the system will pre-populate the liability details from the Paye return you've just filed, and again it will allow you to proceed to make payments for Nita levy. So that's kind of how you do the filing and also how you come to make the payments for affordable for Paye, affordable housing levy, and Nita levy. Now, for affordable housing levy, what I'd explain is, in case some of the employees don't have PIN numbers, when it populates that amount when you're generating a payment slip, the system allows you to, actually, seems like the return was filed eventually, because you realize now it has our 3,000 is there. So this is for affordable housing levy. So in case, let's say David had, this employer had about 2 employees whom they were deducted 10,000 affordable housing levy, but the employer did not have their PIN numbers. So meaning the employees were not captured under sheet M of the pay return because they didn't have a PIN number. So how do you account for affordable housing levy of those extra employees? You just come to edit this amount from 3,000 to 13,000. So you realize this, for affordable housing levy, the system allows you to edit upwards the amount to take care of any employees whom you deducted affordable housing levy. You match the affordable housing levy, but because they didn't have PIN numbers, so you did not capture them in the pay return. But at the point of payment, you can always edit upwards the amount to take care of that accordingly. And that now you submit. You are now able to submit the payment slip for affordable housing levy. So that is for affordable housing levy. Now, also let me show you that under the affordable housing levy, in case you make payments later than the 9th working day, you'll also be liable to pay a penalty of 3% of the unpaid amount per month. So every month you'll be incurring 3%. So meaning if your unpaid affordable housing levy amount is 10,000, every month you'll be incurring 3% of 10,000 every month, and that will be the penalty. So it is not one-off. The penalty is 3% per month, which can really be very material, because at the end of the year, you might actually pay 36% of the penalty because it's 3% per month of the unpaid amount. So I think, so that's how you edit about upwards. Anyway, when you are still here, maybe I can just explain that. So that is, in case you are making a penalty, you can always select the payment type as penalty. Then you calculate your penalty at 3% of the unpaid amount per month. You capture the payments and you go make payments at any of your agent banks or using M-Pesa where applicable, the mobile payment channels. Our pay bill is 222. So that's how you account for affordable housing levy, either as a self-assessment or a penalty. For Nita, you can, and I know there's a question you'd asked Tanya, and it is good you clarify at this point again. Please note, from April 2022, Nita is payable monthly. And that's why we've already configured our returns to auto-calculate Nita levy on a monthly basis. So please, we don't expect any employer to pay, and even I'll ask you, how did you pay annually? Because first, the return does not allow you to edit anything upwards apart from what the return. You cannot edit an amount of, you cannot pay for Nita levy a liability which did not come from the return. So we encourage all employers, please comply with the monthly directive. From April 2022, Nita is payable monthly. We are now auto-calculating Nita using the pay return. So please don't pay annually. It brings unnecessary reconciliations, both on your end, KRA side. So just stick to the monthly one and pay the Nita levy as calculated by the pay return with necessary adjustments and modifications from your end, and you pay the Nita levy on a monthly basis. So that's kind of how for the Nita levy you comply with. So Nita levy has two aspects. You have the self-assessment and you have the arrears. So how does the arrears come in? Let's assume you've never complied with Nita levy since we did, maybe you started complying with Nita levy when KRA started auto-calculating Nita levy on the pay return, let's say from May 2023. But you've been an employer from January 2020. So what happens is you'll be required to come and select. So for the current month going forward, of course, the return is auto-calculating. You'll select Nita levy, you select the period, it brings the liability, you pay. But for the period January 2020, let's say to April 2023, when the return was not auto-calculating, and let's say probably you had not accounted for Nita levy, please note you'll now use the arrears option under the payment type. So you'll just come and select arrears. So you don't need to go and amend your returns for January 2020 to April 2023 to include Nita levy. It's unnecessary. No need to amend the pay returns. Just come to the payment type, select arrears, and select January 2020 as the period, and make the calculate your Nita levy liabilities as arrears, and so select arrears, select January 2020. Let's assume your Nita levy is 5,000. Generate a payment slip, make payments, come again, select February, select March until you come to the current period. So that is how you account for arrears between the time you ought to have registered and started paying Nita and the time you actually started paying Nita. So that's how you account. Instead of you having to go and amend the pay return for January 2020 to April 2023, we've provided an easier way for you to pay using the arrears option. So I think so that's kind of how the presentation. Of course, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I've shown you how an employer complies with the affordable housing levy, Nita levy, and Paye using the pay return. Now, quickly, we have those employers. We have those employers who don't have a pay obligation, and also, as I said in my opening remarks, the scope of affordable housing levy has been expanded for you to pay affordable housing levy on persons whom it has been expanded for you to pay affordable housing levy on your gross income, apart from the one, not gross salary, but your gross income from business, from farming, from consultancy, from rental, in addition to probably you being an employee. So let's make it very clear. You being an employee does not exempt you from paying affordable housing levy on your other incomes apart from employment. So it's not that you are either an employee or in gross income. No, the Affordable Housing Act has attempted to cure the issue of discrimination and fairness, which was brought up by the courts, where certain people were not under the scope of affordable housing levy, and now you are being charged affordable housing levy on your total gross income. The one relating from employment, it is deducted by the employer and paid to KRA. The one relating to your other side hustles, rental, business income, consultancy, and other things you're dealing, farming, those ones, it's you as an individual taxpayer, or it is you as the company. If you're operating as a company or a partnership or an individual, you pay it under that entity. If you're operating as an individual, you pay it under your own individual PIN. So let me log in to explain those two aspects. Then we can now go to the Q&A. So this is now how an employer. This process will be used by two people, two categories of persons: an employer who does not have a pay obligation, and any other person who is not an employer and they have to account for affordable housing levy under their own PIN. So probably, so let's come and so it's both. If you are an employer, you can either be an employer with an A PIN or an employer with a P PIN. It doesn't matter. So let me start with the first category: an employer who does not have a pay obligation. So an employer who does not have a pay obligation, they'll be required to just log in and go directly to generate a payment slip for affordable housing levy. So this is an employer with no pay obligation. So an employer with no pay obligation, he will just come to affordable housing levy, select agency revenue, select housing levy. So the controls we put in the system is, the system will check, do you have a pay obligation or not? If you have a pay obligation, you must first file the pay return. The system will not allow anyone with a pay obligation to go and generate a payment slip for housing levy or Nita levy directly without filing filing the pay return. But we've also put in the back end, the system is able to differentiate. If you don't have a pay obligation, it can allow you to generate a payment slip for housing levy and Nita levy directly without without having to file a pay return, because you don't have a pay obligation. So those employers who don't have a pay obligation, you just go directly, you select the period as May, let's say May 2024 as the current month. You look at what is the gross salary you pay to all your employees. Maybe you have 15 employees. Let's say maybe all of them are earning less than 24,000 per month. So their total gross salary for, on the 15 employees, let's say it is 300,000. So we come and calculate the 1.5%. So we do 1.5%. We do 1.5% of we let's say we pick 300,000. multiplied by 0.015. I think that is a 1.5% if I'm not wrong. So we come to 4,500. So this is the amount of affordable housing levy you, the employer who doesn't have a pay obligation, you will deduct from your employees whom you've paid them a total gross salary of 300,000. But of course, everyone is having their own amount. Some is earning 15, another is earning 20, another is earning 22, another is earning 18. So so the total amount on all the 15 employees, let's say, comes to 4,500. But also you as an employer, you need to match the 4,500 deducted from your employees. So you'll be doing these calculations offline. So you'll come and pick 4,500 deducted from the employees, and also you match another 4,500, and now you arrive at 9,000. So that is how an employer who does not have a pay obligation calculates the affordable housing levy offline, but comes and brings the amount, which is inclusive of both the one deducted from the employees and the one or basically the one added by the employer, as provided by the Affordable Housing Act. So that's kind of how an employer who does not have a pay obligation goes ahead and generates a payment slip for affordable housing levy. So that's the first category, an employer with no pay obligation. Now let's go to the second category. Whether you are trading as an individual, whether you are trading as a company, whether you are trading as a partnership, whether you are trading as a CBO, whether you are trading as a society, you ought to pay affordable housing levy on your business income. So this is the second category of those people who are receiving gross income. And as I said, whether you are trading as an individual or as a company, as long as you are not an employer, you ought to pay affordable housing levy at the rate of 1.5% of your gross income accrued or received in the month. And of course, you need to pay it monthly by the 9th working day of the subsequent month. So how do you come again? Same process like the one for employers with no pay obligation. You come, select the period. Now for you, you will not be matching anything. The law just requires you to pay 1.5% on your gross income. So if David is having a gross income of, let me say April, let's say David had a gross income of 100,000 from my other. So David is still an employee of CHRA, but David is also having his other side hustles. Not side hustles. Side hustles looks like a part-time thing. He's also having his other things in this other business income, whether it is business, farming, consultancy, rental, whether rental under MRI, rental under the annual regime, it doesn't matter. As long as it is gross income you are receiving or accruing every month of, let's say, 100,000. So David will come and select 1,000. So maybe it was 100,000 for that month. I'll come and now calculate affordable housing levy at the rate of 1,500, which is 1.5% of the 100,000, away from my employment income. Now, this is other business, rental, consultancy, or farming income, which David is receiving, either as an individual. In case I was receiving it as under my company, then I log in with that company and follow the same steps. So this on gross income, affordable housing levy is payable by both individuals and non-individuals. So please don't say that me, I'm operating a company now, I'm not liable. No, all of us are liable to paying affordable housing levy on our gross income, as long as we are not employers under our own respective entities or PIN numbers. So I'll come and select that. So I calculate offline my gross income from my rental, farming, business, or whatever. It came to 100,000. I'll come and select other payment modes and submit. So that's kind of how it's just easy. And that is how you generate a payment slip for affordable housing levy relating to my period of April 2024, which ideally was due by let's say 9th of May. So of course, I'll be required also to come and to be compliant. I'll be required to come and pay some penalty for that. So how do you pay the penalty for affordable housing levy? You calculate, it was 1,500. So let's say 1,500 multiply by 0.03. So it has been pending for May and June. So it is 0.03, I think. Then you can multiply by 2. So it is 45 bob. Multiply by 2 months, it is 90 bob. So what happens? I'll come, select housing levy, and now go to penalty. Now I've already paid for the sale. I've already generated a payment. So I'll come and select penalty, select April 2024, select April. My April payment is has been pending for 2 months. So I'm being charged a penalty of 3%, which I'll calculate offline on my 1,500. So 3% times 2. Then of course now once you've selected the month, you'll enter the amount of 90 shillings and generate a payment slip. So this is basically how you account for affordable housing levy on both the principal and also the penalty, which is at the rate of 3% per month. Now on the aspect of Nita, I forgot those employers with no pay obligation. Also for Nita, oh, it has come now. Sorry. So I can come and capture the 90. That is a penalty. So you realize this is how you comply. And for these people on gross income, it is this affordable housing levy is liable for March. So using all the other data sets KRA has, we can check and know you've been making money from March, and we can now start demanding the affordable housing levy. So we encourage anyone with other gross income apart from employment, which they have not accounted for affordable housing levy and they are not employers, please log into Itax, go and pay, and also pay the respective penalties because the law is effective from March 2020. The law is effective from March 2024 going forward. So something on Nita, I think I wanted to pay this first, generate the one for penalty. Then now for Nita, the same thing will happen. If you're an employer, with no pay obligation, whether trading as an individual or a company or a non-individual, you can again come and select, you can pay for Nita on your employees. You just need to come and select Nita levy. The same process, but now you don't have to file the pay return. You can also pay for self-assessment. You can pay as arrears, and you can come and select the period. Let's say it is May 2024, and the system will allow you. So in case you're having employees, let's say who are earning less than 24,000, and possibly that is the reason why you've not picked a pay obligation, the system still allows you to account for Nita levy on all your employees. So let's say you have 100 employees who are earning less than including casuals, part-time secondary employees who are earning less than 24,000. You'll now just come and capture the 5,000, which is 50 times 100. You come and add the details and you submit. So again, that is how an employer with no pay obligation accounts for Nita levy by directly just going to generating a payment slip. So I think I've taken some time So I think I've taken quite some time to just explain these three components, how they interact with each other. How do you account for affordable housing levy as an employer? How do you account for affordable housing levy on your gross income? Whether you are an individual or a non-individual, as long as you are not a payee, as long as you don't have, as long as you are not an employer, how do you account for that? So I think with that, we can now come to a joint Q&A and clarify all the issues which have been raised in the, but I believe my presentation probably has also just clarified quite a number of the issues which have been raised in the chat. And I think back to you, Mandy.
Great. Thank you so much, Bosaule. It went over slightly time-wise, but we're still at least within our allocated time. So thank you so much. And a big thank you to Linda as well. She's been tackling majority of the questions that have come in, especially regarding the affordable housing relief, the applicability, the thresholds, or any exemption. So thank you so much, Linda, for that. If you want, you can side chat me at the end if you want to come in to clarify on any frequently occurring issue you've observed. But a big thank you to that for that. And if you have any further questions, you can continue to post them in the chat, direct them to everyone or all panelists. Madam Linda should be able to assist as well. Bosaule, I think we just had a key concern by taxpayers and employers who are our target audience today from east and south of Nairobi and countrywide, our employers. are wanting to know how to be compliant this month. Have the updates been captured in this pay return, the return that they are filing for May? And if not, how should they go ahead to file in the coming months and capture the reliefs for March, April, and May? Can you guide on that kindly? And then a really interesting question tied to that slightly is how those earning non-employment income will be able to capture and enjoy their relief. We'll start with that, please.
Okay, thanks, Mandy. You realize the affordable housing relief is being provided to an employee in two ways. If you are employed, it is provided through the pay return by the employer. But even at the end of the year, the 2024 ITR and income tax return for individuals, whether it is for residents or non-residents, we're also going to add a section for affordable housing relief. So again, it's two ways. So it's the same way you do insurance relief. It is provided in the pay return, but at the end of the year, you are still allowed to claim the relief as per your P9. And of course, now the return now calculates the tax payable. So the same thing will happen for affordable housing relief for the people who are not employees. But at the end of the year, when they are filing their their income tax returns, then they'll be allowed to claim the relief relating to the affordable housing relief. So basically, they'll be allowed to capture that. So if you've been paying, let's say, 203, a total of, let's say, 6,000 of affordable housing relief over the year on your gross income, let's say from business, when you're filing your income tax return declaring that business income, you'll now be allowed to claim this relief, and it will go a long way reducing your tax payable to the extent of the relief you'll have paid over the years, over the periods in 2024. So that's kind of how that category is taken care of. It will be at the end of the year when they are filing the 2024 income tax return. Will provide for the relevant fields also in the income tax return, the annual one, to account for affordable housing. Now, the return changes I've just spoken to, those return changes are not ready as we speak today on your side. We are trying to see if the return will be available, let's say maybe by Saturday, maybe by Sunday of this week. So you can watch out. That is our plan. We are deploying an enhancement to update the pay return, hopefully by either Friday night or Saturday night. So probably from Sunday or Monday, we should be able, but the due date will have passed, I believe. When is the due date? The due date is 9th. So I think instead of pushing it, please proceed to just file normally in this month. Then come next month now, the return will be available for the June payroll month in July, and the return will allow you to even go and amend your March return, your April return, your May return, and include the affordable housing relief, just in case you'd already provided it to the employees. If you have not provided it, nothing is lost. Your employees can still get it at the end of the year, or you can go and amend the return. So I think the options are available to employers depending on how they want to proceed. The relief can be provided to the employee directly in the end of the year, meaning the return will be in a refund position, or the respective employers can provide, who had already provided for it, but probably they had not filed it correctly, they can go and amend the return and now capture the relief in the respective section as will have been updated, and also proceed with amending, and going forward they can start providing it in the return probably before the finance bill 2024 goes to become a finance act, because again it has brought some changes on affordable housing relief and also even the post-retirement medical relief. There are some changes in the current bill. If it goes to become an act, again there could be some changes around that, but we'll notify you come July when the act has been the bill has become an act. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Busaule, for that. I think I'll just welcome Madam Tanya to respond to a quick question. I think then you can look in the chat if you have any questions or concerns or misunderstandings you've observed that you'd like to clarify on. Also note that tomorrow we have a sensitization as well, and tomorrow's sensitization will really largely be targeting those individuals who are earning other sources of income other than employment income and persons. So if you'd like to attend that session or share that link with those who find the content beneficial, please go ahead to do so. And I think, Biswale, even as you look through the chat, a number of recommendations or suggestions from taxpayers who state that we should enhance the way in which AHL is filed and paid in the same way that Nita was enhanced and greatly simplified last year, March or April thereabouts. So feedback from the taxpayers. Madam Tanya, we had that question, and Mr. Opuk, and you have done a good job to respond to that. For those individuals who now want to be Nita compliant, have assessed themselves that they have returns or rather arrears when it comes to Nita, we had an interesting question whereby a taxpayer is asking now, upon realizing the penalties or the arrears that they may have in relation to Nita, are we recommending that they pay all of it in a lump sum, or are they required to pay month on month on month? How would you recommend, Madam Tanya? And I know you've already responded, but just for the benefit of all those who now want to come forward and be compliant, I kindly request you to just address that issue of arrears and the best way to pay for them. Thanks. Tanya?
For the arrears, the system is also able to accept a lump sum payment. So instead of going on a month-to-month basis, you can just do a lump sum of the total levy due and the penalty on the last month the levy was due. So if you were supposed to have filed for probably April 2024 and you haven't filed for some time, you can key in the lump sum amount for the month of April 2024.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think that's well guided, and thank you for that clarification. So for those who want to come forward and finally now be compliant fully, Mr. Opuk, yes, please proceed.
Sorry, Mandy. I think based on what Tanya is saying, you may find that you have arrears for the last 2 or 3 years. So keying in every month would also be a challenge. Tanya's given you an example of maybe within the year, maybe from January to April. But in case you are also having arrears for the last 4 years, then it means you can now at least just use, let's say it is up to December 2023. So if it is up to December 2023, you just key in the amount, but make sure that now the period you are putting December 2023. And most of those arrears, you must have been guided by KRA. You must have been guided by KRA or a Nita officer who actually told you that whatever is outstanding, the obligation that is outstanding is 100,000, 200,000, maybe a 100,000 plus a penalty of 20,000, that is 120. So you are going to pay. That is also answering what somebody was asking about payment of penalties. So all the penalties and arrears are paid under arrears. They are not self-assessment. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, Mr. Hook. Thank you, Tanya, also just for those two key clarifications. Busali, I'll bring you back at this point. In case you've observed something in the chat that you'd like to clarify on. I think I saw this very interesting question as to whether the ongoing tax amnesty program, which we'll talk about shortly, can save taxpayers from the penalties and interest that are being or that they've incurred regarding Nita and AHL. I think I can answer that, and then you can back it up. To say that unfortunately not, given that the ongoing amnesty is applicable to the periods December 31st, 2022 and all prior periods. So that's before AHL came into effect. And also, I think it only covers the taxes administered by the Domestic Taxes Department and the Tax Procedures Act. So those exclude levies that are collected on behalf of other agencies. But Kusali can clarify on that and then just come in with any final comments, concerns, observations that you've noted. Mr. Okemwa, Dr. Okemwa, if you're still in the call, I'll also request you just to be on standby. Any final remarks from you as we wind up? David?
Okay, thank you. And I think, yes, that is in order. The current amnesty does not cover affordable housing levy, because anyway, the affordable housing levy was effective from July 2023. Yet the amnesty period is even up to December 2022. So again, I think even just on timelines, even without going into the technicalities, whether it's in the TPA or not, I think also the period is just off. And even for Nita Levy, you're also right that the current amnesty does not cover anyone from payment of any penalties relating to any offenses relating to industrial training levy. So we encourage employers, and also the Industrial Training Act does not have a provision for waiver. So please note those are, it may not look material, but over the years, when you put it may actually become very material for some of you. So I encourage you to just comply, and Nita is available, KRA is available. You can get into a payment plan. You can make different payments as long as, because again, there is really no waiver for levies, consequences of not complying with industrial training levy. So we encourage employers to just know that and try to be compliant as much as possible on that aspect. I think most of the questions have been addressed. I picked some of the common questions, but I think it is my colleagues Linda and I think Opuk and again Tanya from Nita have been clarifying. I can't see any unique, but I think just emphasizing the Nita due date is now 9th of the following month. Please note there's a lot of landlords and tenants. Please note affordable housing levy is payable by all landlords as long as they are not employers. So there is no unique separation between a landlord or anyone in business. Basically, it's just gross income apart from the one you are earning from employment. It is liable to affordable housing levy as long as you are not an employer. Also, I just want to emphasize affordable housing levy is payable by both individuals and non-individuals. As long as you are not an employer, you need to pay to file using the current month, the way you've been filing from March. Then come the June return in July, you can now start filing correctly. In case you had already claimed the relief through any other workaround known to you, you can now go and amend those returns and move the affordable housing relief to the correct column, and of course allow it to your employees to avoid the issues of refunds at the end of the year when they are filing their income tax return. And of course, I think, again, I know Linda has already responded to this. Please note, there is no law whatsoever which has stopped the collection and enforcement of affordable housing levy. Yes, there are some cases in the court of law, as I know, we are aware of that, but no court of law has pronounced itself on giving what do the lawyers call, like basically giving an order for KRA to stop collecting or the ministry to stop implementing affordable housing levy pending the determination of an appeal. So there are many appeals, there are no me, but I think as we speak today, no court of law has pronounced itself to stop the collection. So please note, you need to account for affordable housing levy from March 2024, of course, without fail. And if you do that, you'll be liable to a penalty of 3% per month on that. And I think we cannot overemphasize. Please avoid paying Nita levy on an annual basis. It brings unnecessary reconciliation issues. Nita levy is now payable on a monthly basis. The return auto calculates Nita levy. It allows you to adjust upwards the amount, the number of employees liable to Nita, depending on whether you have others who probably did have PINs or you never captured them in the pay return. So please avoid the annual aspect. It's we want you to just comply with the law and pay monthly, and it will bring, even for reconciliation purposes between KRA and Nita, it becomes a better way of reconciling, because you may never know how many employees you're going to have in the next 12 months. Business can be good, business can be worse. Maybe you paid using 100, something comes up, a calamity comes up, you downsize to 50. So what happens to the 100 you've paid for the next 12 months? So I think avoid that. And even the current pay return does not encourage you to make annual payments. I think with those few remarks, I believe all the other issues in the chat have been addressed accordingly, and we apologize for the delays in making the changes to the return relating to affordable housing relief and the post-retirement medical relief. But again, better late than never. Better late than not doing it at all. But we hope we'll also improve, and we can assure you the finance bill enhancements, Finance Act 2024, will work hard to ensure all the enhancements have been there by the time they become effective. And we did that for last year. So we believe we'll do it again this year. But for this other one, there were some unavoidable circumstances why we are not able to update the pay return immediately after the Affordable Housing Act became effective due to some issues. But now we resolved those issues and now we are able to proceed with that. So thank you very much. And back to Mendy for the presentation on integrity and access to information. Please, tomorrow our focus will be purely on persons on gross income. So tomorrow we're not going to cover any presentation on pay as you earn, how to file affordable housing levy through the pay return. We are focusing mostly on affordable housing levy persons who are receiving gross income. They don't have a pay obligation and it's on their gross income purely. So that will be our focus of tomorrow's training as you join. So we'll not cover the pay presentation tomorrow. I think with those few remarks, back to Mendy for our presentation on integrity and access to information. Then maybe we can have final remarks from the presenters and who are now panelists at the end after Mendy's presentation. Back to you, Mendy.
Thank you so much, Kusale. And again, a very big thank you to Madam Linda. She's been responding to the bulk of the questions in the chat. I think that also helps save time. Allow me to very briefly take you through this brief presentation on integrity and access to information, where we are mandated to train you on your rights and your obligations when it comes to your tax affairs to ensure that you're not only informed, but also empowered. We'd also love to share with you some of the measures that we're putting in place to strengthen integrity within the authority and curb corruption. I think over the years, we've been endeavoring to leverage on technology to ensure that the services and solutions we're offering are simplified and are convenient and enabling you to be compliant simply. Most recently, we have the ongoing VAT auto-populated return, which is also made possible through initiatives when it comes to invoicing via TINs and e-TINs. So those are some of the efforts that we're putting in place to automate our functions. I'll jump to the very end just to highlight that we have robust anti-corruption, gift and whistleblower policies within the authority. And over the years, we're growing reliant on reliable third-party sources of information. So you, our taxpayers, who are out in the market, engaging and trading, maybe privy to knowledge that is yet to reach the authority on tax malpractices. So you can, through the informal reward system, KRA commits to paying 5% of the taxes recovered from any relevant information brought forward by an informer up to a maximum of 5 million shillings. This maximum was also recently raised from 2 million to 5 million to incentivize anyone with relevant information about taxation and tax malpractices to come forward for the benefit of strong tax investigations, recovery of lost tax revenue, and nation building overall. Of course, that's also our effort and our attempt to help foster a fair business environment and ensure that everyone is paying their fair share of taxes. On your screen are a number of reporting channels. Should you have a grievance, a corruption report, a complaint, you can utilize the channels on your screen. CIC stands for Complaints and Information Center. So if you have KRA-related complaints that would typically take the form of overstayed applications, pending tasks, you can quote your PIN and or the task number if you have it and direct that to cic@kra.go.ke. Should you have a corruption report, you can utilize any of the other channels on your screen. And for those who wish to do so without revealing your identity, you can do so on iwhistle.kra.go.ke, which is a web-based anonymous reporting system, an opportunity for you to notify KRA of any matters in regards to all aspects of the authority, not just the domestic taxes department. And the platform is manned by a handful of officers to ensure that sensitivity and confidentiality is maintained at the highest order. It will simply prompt you to log in and it'll assign you a unique identifying number, and through that you can perhaps track your application or rather track your request or notice, and that will be picked up by officers within our investigations department, and a case will be built on that, and investigations will be done with the aim of recovering lost tax revenue. We request that you submit any information that you may have, a name, a PIN number, a phone number, documents that you may have, and the team will pick it up from there. As we've alluded to before, we have an ongoing amnesty program. KRA is preaching the gospel of forgiveness, tax amnesty, pardoning. So this program actually lapses in the next 26 days thereabouts, and we're encouraging our taxpayers to come forward. It's not too late. come forward and enjoy 100% relief on your outstanding penalties and interest and start on a clean slate. This will be automatic for those taxpayers who will have cleared all the principal taxes for the periods December 31st, 2022 and all prior periods. Those associated penalties, interest and fines will be cleared automatically should you have completed your paying your principal taxes. However, should you still have principal taxes outstanding, these are the actual tax liabilities and it relates to those periods December 31st, 2022 and all prior periods. We're encouraging you to come forward, engage your debt team, or at least log into your Itax profile, view and establish the outstanding debts that you're not in dispute of, pay those, and you'll be able to enjoy 100% relief on the outstanding penalties, interest, and fines. And remember that the Finance Act 2023 also deleted provisions for waivers and abandonment of taxes. So as I said, now we have no legal basis and framework to waive any penalties, interest, and fines. This is a golden opportunity and an opportunity that doesn't come around often. So take advantage and start off on a clean slate. That's the message the authority is providing. And now that we're busy and family and filing season, we're encouraging you to again come forward, be assisted by our service centers who have a lot of important information on the tip of their fingertips and now have extended hours that you can take advantage of on call or physically in a KRA TSO tax service office or our approved Huduma centers where we have a number of officers stationed to assist you and ensure that the services we're offering are also easily accessible and convenient for you. Dr. Okemwa, before you go, let me just hand over back to Busaule. On behalf of KRA, Busaule, maybe I can just request you to say one or two things and then hand over to Daktari, who will close for us in a minute or two. And thank you also to the presenters. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Busaule. Thank you, Dr. Okemwa, Mr. Musa, and Madam Tanya for your time over the last 3 hours almost. And a big thank you on behalf of Tax Education to our taxpayers who've honored our invite and made the time to be here this morning. Busaule, one last time, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Mandy, and thanks everyone for joining this training. We appreciate that, and I think for us, our desire is to create awareness, empower you to comply better through voluntary compliance, and just know what is expected of you of the different levies, contributions, taxes, as and when they arise, and so that you can easily comply going forward. I think. And for us, the partnership we have with the State Department for Housing and Urban Development, the Affordable Housing Board, the National Industrial Training Authority on the collection of the respective levies and taxes and contributions we are doing on their behalf. We appreciate that on behalf of KRA. And I know we will be having a similar training again, probably the first week of July 2024. Sorry about this training. We had issues of capacity with our WebEx platform, but we hope the one for July will be able to do it on a different platform which can accommodate up to 10,000 participants, the same way we did it for the VAT pre-populated return trainings, and we're able to accommodate as many people as possible through the platform. I think with those few remarks, thank you very much for joining, and we hope we'll continue working with you to comply. Please note the pay return is not yet available, the one I've just shown you, but it will be available either over the weekend or after the pay due date. So you can be guided accordingly on how to comply, given that the due date for Paye Nita is coming on 9th, which is, I think, a Sunday. So please don't keep waiting for that return and you end up paying late the Nita levy and the affordable housing levy, Nita levy, and the Paye, which is due for May 2024. And I think with those few remarks, back to you, Daktari, for your closing remarks from Nita, and then we can call it a day. Thank you very much.
Busole, perhaps Dr. Okemwa is unable to unmute at this time. I know the various teams seem like they are in training, so maybe then we can have
closing remarks maybe from both Musa and Tanya now that they have participated, and maybe there is something they've also maybe picked from the charts, so that they can just have a 1-minute closing remark each. Then you can close it, Mandy. Okay.
Perfect. Madam Tanya, maybe we can start with you. And a big thank you for taking us through the presentation. Just a minute, a word of encouragement, so maybe you can restate the support channels offered by Nita. Thanks.
Mine is just to thank the KRA team for organizing this. and for everyone who took part. So some of you are getting to learn a bit more about Nita, what we do, and the levy, industrial training levy, being a compliance. I urge you to register and train. I will share the contact. Maybe as Mr. Opuk speaks.
All right, thanks, Madam Tanya. Mr. Opuk, I know you're in another training, but if you're in a position to, maybe just a closing remark on behalf of Nita as we wind up.
Thank you, Mandy. From my side, we are really pleased. I think on behalf of Daktari and the entire management of Nita, we want to appreciate the partnership and also probably our employers who are able to support the industrial training mandate. And just as Tanya said, don't just contribute because it's a legal requirement. Ensure that you also get the benefits that are associated with that contribution. One of the issues that came a bit late as we were winding up is that must you register? Is then when you that is when you contribute. It is deliberate that you can contribute even before you register, and matters on how you can go about registration has been explained. The contacts are there. Whether you want to contact the nearest Levy office near you, maybe you are in Eldoret, Kakamega, Nyeri, and all that, just do that. But let us embrace also the issue of utilization of the fund. Otherwise, from our end, I must appreciate that such kind of trainings really widen our scope of the information gap. In fact, you can realize that if you are employed and you're also running a rental, you're having rental income or any other source of income, which probably most of us are doing, then we really need to also comply with the same. Thank you very much, Musaule, and God bless all of us. I don't know whether I've seen like Daktari is able to unmute. If that is the case, then it's not wrong to spare him some minute to close for us. Thank you so much, the team.
Yeah, thank you very much. At least I've gotten an opportunity to speak once again. I want to thank KRA for all that they have done, especially in enabling this kind of forum. And also, I also want to thank our employers and advise them very honorably to get on board, because mainly the purpose of this fund is to support, as we have said, the purpose of this dynamics of job requirements as they change from time to time. So our justification and our happiness will be when you come on board to ensure that you have actually utilized this fund, and we'll be very happy because that will improve our productivity and hence develop our country. Secondly, just to enhance on what you talk about registration, we said that there is not necessary, you don't have to register before you pay, because we'll identify your money using the PIN numbers, as I said during my introduction. Just go ahead and actually pay using your PIN number, then we'll be able to integrate those details to get your numbers. But at the same time, as I said, we are developing a system in which we can be able to develop a registration number so long as you are paid. The purpose of this is to account for your money at the time when you will be coming for it. Then lastly, I want to thank Bwana David Kusaure for being very useful in this process and our partnership, and for the enhancing the what you call about the compliance, which I said earlier on, for the purpose of really supporting our employers in getting up to date with those job dynamics requirements. Back again to you, the KRA officers, and I thank the employers also, and hoping to see you on board next time. Thank you very much, and we are there for you for that service. Asante sana.
Asante sana. Indeed, the forum is now over. You're all free to leave at your leisure. We wish you a blessed rest of the day and perhaps see you tomorrow. Thank you also to KRA TV for live streaming this entire engagement yesterday and today. We are sincerely appreciated. Asante sana.
Bye.
Bye-bye.